Welcome back to the 410 Tech podcast, where we discuss the latest in consumer technology, fun gadgets, and everything in between. I'm Damien.
And I'm Michelle, and today we have a very special guest joining us, someone who needs no introduction in the tech world. He's a renowned tech journalist, YouTuber, and all-around tech aficionado. You know him from his in-depth Apple coverage, hot takes on the latest gadgets, and his dynamic presence in the tech community. Brian Tong, welcome to the show.
Wow, Damien and Michelle, wow. The fact that you wrote that, that's impressive. I have to say, thank you so much. That was very flattering.
We can even take it to another level.
Let's go. No, thank you all. You know, I think for people that don't know, we ran into each other at CES, the most recent CES, right?
Yeah.
And what was that? It's a blur. That was CES 2024 because the year is 2024.
Right.
And you guys came up with so much energy and enthusiasm, and I really love every aspect of the tech community and just being a part of it. I feel so fortunate to be able to do this. And so when you guys asked, like, hey, can we do something? Like, yeah, let's do something. So that's why we're here to just celebrate, you know, the love of tech that we all have and just like meeting great people in the community. So I'm just saying, like, thank you for what you guys are contributing and doing as well. Like, it's all love.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely. So we're just a little over a week away from Apple's big September event, which is always one of the most anticipated moments of the tech calendar. So there's rumors flying around. Everyone's trying to figure out what Apple has up their sleeve this time, you know, what Apple's up to. So from the iPhone 16 to 16 Pro to new Apple Watches, the excitement is really building. Apple's event is going to take place on September 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and it's called Glowtime. So, Brian, what do you think Glowtime refers to?
I think the phones will get so hot and nuclear reactive that they will glow. Just kidding. Apple's like, no, don't say that.
Right.
You know, if you go to the website, if you go to Apple's actual website, they have this animation that clearly looks like the new next gen Series S glow colors. But hey, it could mean a lot of things. What's always fun is trying to read into these invites, okay? And so some people have claimed, you know, what do they call those? Like Rorschach paintings, like those images where you look at them and it's like a psychology test.
Yeah.
And some people said, I saw Vision Pro in there. I swear I saw an Apple Watch in there. I'm like, y'all are crazy. But, you know, that shows the passion and how this is, no matter what platform you're on, this is one of the biggest tech events of the year. Apple does tend to dictate sometimes the direction, or to be honest, when Apple doesn't push as hard, other companies kind of feel a little safer and be like, oh, we're going to play it a little safer too. I'm going to throw this out there. We've seen it in the iPhone design. I'm not hating on it, but the iPhone currently looks like an iPhone 12 SS from a design standpoint, okay, not a feature standpoint.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever Apple does here, right, all eyes are on them. And if it is an incremental upgrade, that's okay too, because they're Apple. That's a thing, right? Like, they are such a huge marketing machine. They have a huge installer base. People are not running away from their platform in droves. How many times have you heard people be like, oh, I'm kind of bored with my iPhone. Well, then go on another platform because there's plenty of choice. They don't.
Right.
Most of them don't. So I think, you know, I'm always just curious to see what's happening. I think the most exciting space potentially, because we haven't heard too much about it, could be the Apple Watch, because September 9th is its 10th anniversary of the actual Apple Watch. So maybe, you know, maybe we'll see. I hate it. I mean, it happens. We see leaks like a day before too.
Oh my goodness.
Right? That happens.
Right.
But my hope is actually that of all these products, the Apple Watch surprises us because of its 10th anniversary. That's my hope. And we'll see what happens. We'll see.
All right. I like it. So on that note, let's start things off by talking about some of the products that we can expect and the rumors so far. So first up, the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro. So it looks like we're getting larger displays for the pros. So for the 16 Pro, a 6.1-inch display, and for the 16 Pro Max, a 6.9-inch display. So 0.2 inches bigger than last year's phone. So, Brian, with the iPhone 16 Pro Max reaching 6.9 inches, do you think we're reaching a tipping point where smartphones are becoming too large for practical use? And do you think this trend will continue?
I hope it doesn't get any bigger than 6.9. And no one cut that audio out and use it for nefarious reasons.
No, we definitely will not.
but with 6.3 and 6.9, reports are saying the phones physically will get a little bigger as well. I'm actually, I wish, yes, there's only so much you can physically fit into a space. It would be nice to keep the phone smaller and expand the size. I don't know personally how much that really makes a difference for me on the day-to-day, quite honestly. You always say bigger screens are better, but if it physically gets bigger, I think the phones are as big as we need them to be physically. But more screen is always better. Are these too big? I remember there was a time, people might forget, but there was a moment where like when tablets were really early and coming out, Dell came out with a lineup that had like tablets at every size, and one of them was a 7-inch. And everyone at that time said, is that too big?
Right.
Well, clearly the iPhone is basically almost a freaking 7-inch display now. So
Yeah.
I guess, shout out to Dell for maybe seeing the future.
Right.
But, I've never been a Pro Max guy. I've hated how Apple has made the line different, where the Pro Max has actually gotten different features than the Pro.
Right,
I've always wanted them to be the same. I get it. It's a larger phone, but if it's in the Pro series and the Max denotes a larger display, fine. But I want the same camera. I want everything to be basically feature the same, similar to what Pixel did this year with the Pixel 9 and Pixel 9 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL. Same features. You, the consumer, pick the size. You're not missing anything, and everyone's happy if that's your platform.
Yeah, I mean, we personally both prefer the larger Pro Max display because, like you said, more screen real estate, the better, right? But my hands are only so big, so I don't know how big of a device I can handle. And then also, obviously, foldables are becoming more popular with other brands. Do you think that what do you think Apple's approach will be when they finally enter the foldable market, possibly even in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, with Apple doing foldables, I think everyone, quite honestly, has been waiting to see what Apple does. I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure you've thought this. You see a product from a competitor, you're like, damn, that's really nice.
Yeah.
But I'm in the Apple ecosystem and I'm not going to buy that until Apple makes one.
Right.
And then when Apple makes if and when, we think it's going to happen, is it going to be a foldable phone? Is it going to be this really what seems to be more heavily rumored towards being a foldable MacBook / iPad device?
Ooh.
I could easily see Apple, because everyone's doing foldable phones, while everyone is zigging, Apple's deliberately going to zag to generate some level of interest. But this foldable space still hasn't figured itself out. The biggest issue with foldables in general is the price. Now we have like the flip style that's like that pays homage to the Motorola Razr. I feel like that would be the most popular foldable model if it's a foldable. I'm not saying popular phone, but just popular foldable, just because we know it, we're familiar with it, it flips, it has this fun fidget factor, and we could easily see an iPhone, if it was a flip phone, kind of like a Razr, we'd be like, damn, that's pretty sweet, right? But all the foldables, the majority of them are the 2-panel ones, and they start price-wise around $17.99, $18.99, $19.99. No matter what, that is still really expensive, and that's why people aren't purchasing them. They're never going to be as cheap or as affordable as a single-screen, large-screen device, but they can't start at $17.99, $18.99. I think if they were more like $12.99, $13.99, people might give them more of a look, because there are some really awesome functionalities that they do. And if Apple did their own and put a little bit of their secret sauce magic, the pure ecosystem play, I'm not saying it would sell millions and millions, but it would sell a lot, and it would help push the category forward. And then what Apple does, then a lot of companies force them to pick up their game. And so then you see this competition in this space, but Apple's, we know this has been in the DNA of the company now for a while, specifically more under Tim Cook. Apple likes the slow play because they can. And until we stop buying their products, and we're not, Apple will continue to do the slow play because they can. Yep. And they do innovate in ways, but other companies innovate a lot more with their products because they have to, because of the market shares and whatnot. So will we see a foldable? I'm going to say yes, but I don't know how enticing it is going to be. And I would never assume anything's going to be a success or a failure. I thought the Vision Pro would be a very niche, lukewarm reception, even though the technology is off the wall, and it has been because of the price. So
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it always comes down to price.
absolutely. Now, the iPhone 16 colors have been announced. They're probably going to be, so the 16 is probably going to be black, white, blue, green, and a shade of pink. And the 16 Pros, same colors as the 15 Pros, natural, white, black titanium, and the black titanium might be a little darker. But they're replacing the blue titanium, which was kind of meh, with the desert titanium. Now, Brian, we know you've seen the desert titanium color. What are your thoughts? And is this the color you're going to get? I probably already know the answer to that.
You like doo-doo brown? Because based on the images, it looks like doo-doo brown. It looks like doo-doo. But that's just the images and the lighting. I need to ask you. I want to hear what you guys think as well, because what color moves you first of all? Of these rumored, again, these are all rumors right now, right? This is nothing confirmed, but we know how the rumor mills are pretty darn good these days.
Right.
What colors, or do none of them move you? I mean, where are you at?
Well, I always like the base phone colors, and those are usually the more vibrant colors, but it seems like Apple thinks that a Pro phone has to be muted colors, like you're going to IBM in the 1980s, or, but I'm kind of used to Apple, like when they brought out the iMacs in the late 90s, they had like those multicolored, personal PCs, and they had like these catchy colors, and they actually had like a slogan, "She comes in colors everywhere she combs her hair," that song. And that's exciting, but lately Apple's been like, no, it's going to be the Pro phones, professional, it's got to be
dry toast,
like buttoned up kind of deal. So I'm hoping that they're going to bring those eventually one day, bring the exciting colors. Because how many times do they have like a Project Red phone and everybody, I really like that one, but it doesn't usually come on the Pro model because they just want to have those muted colors. I guess I don't know if they've done any kind of studies in marketing, like, the buyer for this phone is they don't want a loud thing when they're at the earnings call, at the investment house or something like that. Possibly it's going, So I want to see those nice colors on the Pro models.
Yeah, but it looks like we're going to get what we're going to get. So I just say we go all in. We get the desert titanium. We put a nice doo-doo brown case on there and pop a nice poop emoji on the back, and just, real classy.
Yeah, what do they call it? What are those? Not pop-it sockets. What are those things that go on the back? Is it,
pop sockets.
Pop sockets, yeah.
They are. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
nice,
get a pop
emoji.
socket with a doo-doo poo-poo emoji, with a doo-doo brown case. If they do, I will lean into it so hard.
All in. I'm just saying.
Now, it could look goldish because there have been some, it could be maybe a deeper gold, which would be actually interesting because remember, a lot of their gold colors have been super washed out, and it's just been like the frame that's been gold. But guess what? At the end of the day, no matter what color we get, I'd probably lean into the doo-doo just for fun. But we put a case on our phones. Do you guys have a case on your phone, or you guys? Right?
We do, but so we did like the blue. We like it to be more blue, but we got a clear case on it, so you can still see it.
We used to rock the OtterBox. Yeah. We used to rock the OtterBox Defender, but it just got to be like this. This case is so big, and we're super careful with our tech, so we don't usually drop them. We haven't had a cracked screen yet on any of our smartphones.
You did run over my phone in the X5.
I did.
With an OtterBox, and it survived. So I was like hardcore OtterBox for a while.
Because I was raised up off the ground a little bit.
It's legit. It's legit.
Man.
All right,
but I think the color-wise, Apple keeps it classy on the Pro side, but they should just mix it up. Everyone would freak out if they made like a metal red type color. Like red.
That would be so awesome.
They would freak out.
That would be real nice.
Like call it the Iron Man. Just like have a little fun. Just have a little fun once on the Pro side. That's all we're asking.
Yeah, like they don't all have to be color. Just throw in one.
They can have one special color in the Pro lineup, and I bet you it would be a number one seller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they typically, what's interesting is when we've seen them throw in some colors, sometimes it's like that mid-year life cycle color. I don't think they did. They didn't do one this year. But typically that seasonal color where it's like in the middle, halfway, and they probably don't produce that many units of it, knowing that, but they still do it. I even want that back. So we know people, they tend to listen to us and then do it like 3 or 4 years later. So we'll see what happens.
So we're also going to see new AI-focused A18 chips, and it looks like all iPhone 16s will be capable of supporting Apple Intelligence, so that's good. And the iPhone 16 will get the A18 chip, and the 16 Pro will get the A18 Pro chip. Now, obviously, there'll be improvements with CPU, GPU performance, but the main focus this year seems to be the neural engine to support Apple Intelligence. Brian, how do you think Apple Intelligence is going to change the way users interact with their iPhones on a daily basis now?
Well, I think the general user, to be real with you, probably not too much. Like even if you've been running the betas, we like to dink around and see like how this is fun. I think the smart summaries that appear on your screen are actually going to be helpful. Like they can summarize your notifications. They can summarize kind of like some of your top emails. I actually really enjoy that. For us that might, use it more on the daily, I don't expect myself to really use writing tools on a daily, to be honest. Like it's always fun to generate and say like, oh, make an email to my boss that I'm sick. And like, okay, that's kind of simple and fun. And like, oh, maybe I could use that. But I just don't see myself writing an email and then asking to completely change the tone, which just doesn't sound like me, or maybe doesn't make it sound as human. Even constructing the emails, when you try and do stuff like that, it just doesn't feel human. I think there will be people that use that, don't get me wrong, but the number one used feature whenever it's ready, because we've heard and pretty much know that a lot of these Apple Intelligence features will be in beta and some will be rolling out next year. They won't even make the cut for iOS 18, the first version, not even iOS 18.1. We've seen the beta. So let's say something like Genmojis, that is going to be easily the most used feature in iOS 18. It's fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like AI in your face. I don't think AI actually has to be in your face. It just has to be more approachable and fun. I think Google's done a masterful job of that. And this Genmoji thing is going to be off the charts. I'm going to use it all the time. But whenever we get it, we'll get it. I think there's going to be the holy grail of what a lot of companies over the years have wanted to promise, is that the fact that these devices, as creepy as it sounds, know what we're thinking and what's on our brain, because they know what's on here, because this is a second brain for us now. And so if we can see things where I can say, create a calendar appointment from Damien and Michelle for the podcast we talked about, without me looking at anything, and it knows and finds it, cool, right? That's the type of stuff that we just want to say secondhand nature. We kind of know it's there, but it's not there, and the phone does know where it's there and surfaces it. That's how I think it can be advantageous. Everyone wants a smarter Siri and a better Siri. We'll see how much smart it is. Like, just because it has a glow and generative AI, like, it can be smarter, but are people going to really use it in a smarter way, right? So I think there's a lot of questions where AI is sexy right now. But even when I use a Pixel phone, there's a few, they've really plugged in AI features that I feel are like practical, like that I really use. And it's going to take time for Apple, because they are behind in getting to that point, to be honest. And we'll see. I never doubt Apple and their user base will always drive this stuff. But, with artificial intelligence, it just comes down to how it's executed. No one has done it the way Apple is proposing yet. So we just have to wait and see. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I know both Damien and I, we love AI. Like, we're using ChatGPT on a daily at this point for like all kinds of stuff. But I mean, what I'm looking forward to is like, obviously ChatGPT, like you just use it on like it doesn't know, like it doesn't have access to your calendar. It doesn't have access to all, the stuff that would be on your phone. So I'm looking forward to AI now on a more personal level that we hope to see with the Apple Intelligence. So like you mentioned, summarizing my notifications and emails, like I saw that, and that's pretty cool, because sometimes you get so many notifications and it's just like overwhelming. But if you get like a nice summary, that's cool. Better way to search like photos and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, just like on a more personal level.
Yeah, I'm kind of hope it's going to be integrated in like the Maps app, so I could say like, hey, I'm heading home from work, but I'd really like to get some pizza. Where are the places I can find some Chicago deep dish pizza? And it like it knows, and it like, the top one is this location. Would you like to go there? And I'll be like, yes, I would like to go there. Or like, can you make me a playlist of, some R&B from the like 2000s and 90s. These are the artists that I like. I need the playlist to be about like, yeah, definitely. I was listening to that this morning. Him and Chili, I still like, I was looking at the videos. I was like, oh man, you really messed up there, bro.
Yep.
Make me a playlist, and have it be this long, because my destination is going to be like this. So just features like that. I'm kind of envisioning it like Penny from Inspector Gadget, when she had her her little personal watch computer, but just have the intelligence just be like that. Now there's probably going to be issues with the privacy thing like that, but Apple's going to have some of it on device. So if you can get to that level on device, or prompt you, hey, do you want to use ChatGPT for this, and you just say yes or no. But I'm kind of looking for features like that.
Yeah, I think also the other part of this equation is that, like anything, it has to come from like a change in human behavior and how we use our phones slightly. So most of us are used to, to be honest with you, sometimes just doing a Google search, and then I trust my own research more than I trust a phone's research. Now, that's not everyone. So for example, like, restaurants, okay, no shade here, but different states and locations, their Asian food might not be the type of Asian food that I get in California, right?
Yes.
And
True.
just because the reviews, right, or any ethnic like food, like you'll end up knowing. So I do the whole like deep dive into the reviews. Who's reviewing it? What do the dishes look like?
Right.
A phone doesn't do that. They're going to look at like overall ratings, and that we've gone to restaurants that have high ratings. A lot of them that just weren't that good, right? That happens, right?
Yes.
So there's a point to me where AI is great, but we're going to actually have to start seeing people like, not only us who are the people who love this tech and want to use it and take advantage of it, but the general user has to start kind of interacting with their phone a little different for this to be successful. Now, people will buy and upgrade iPhones, but they may not even really use the AI features, and people will buy and upgrade iPhones that will use the AI features. Ultimately, we need new gadgets and toys and ways of using our phones to, quite honestly, make them feel different, but also be more useful. And it has felt like Apple has trailed in that area for a while, especially from an AI standpoint of what can your phone do and know about you and how can it operate. Siri has probably the worst reputation out of any virtual assistant on the market. So they need to change that narrative with an actual product that can do something that others can't right now. And if they can, and this is the thing, the phones are coming out, but it's not going to be rolled out. Like, it's not, this new phone you buy is really going to feel a lot like your old phone with a glowy Siri edge. Like, I'm just being very basic about it, knowing that there's a lot more stuff going on underneath the hood. But right out of the gates, I don't feel like Apple will sell this on AI features. They are not going to be there on day one, right?
Right.
That becomes a little bit of a, well, is this worth upgrading? There will be the normal upgrade cycle that there always is, but I'm just saying, like, people are going to have to learn to use their phones differently, but when you're getting your new phone here, you're not going to really be using it too much differently yet, right? That's based on what the betas have shown us and what's going to be available in iOS 18 and 18.1. I think 18.1 beta 3 just came out, and they finally put in the cleanup tool, which is basically Magic Eraser.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Magic Eraser, like, it'll be interesting. I think a lot of people that have never used Magic Eraser this always happens. They're going to freak out about cleanup tool on iPhone. And I'm just going to be like, yeah, that's why Apple wins in a lot of these ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to use our phones differently to really take advantage of that. And I don't underestimate, sometimes people are just lazy and they just want the newest thing, and they're not going to really use their phone that much differently. Like, I don't hear people talking about the dynamic island because they're not really using their phone differently, and it's just there, right?
Yes.
I'm really, how many times have someone said to you, the dynamic island blows me away. I use it every day. I switch between apps on it. They don't.
Half the time I forget and I see it pop up. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Right? And we're people that love technology. So,
yeah.
we always have to like factor in the tech mindset versus the general consumer mindset,
right.
and how we're going to use it. But guess what? After saying all this, Apple's still going to sell a lot of iPhones.
Yep.
And they have that luxury to lean on every time.
Right.
Absolutely. Because I think that someone said, there's more Android phones overall, like devices,
Yes.
but like in the premium phone market, Apple owns that market. And at the price point all Apple phones are, it's kind of like the premium segment. So they've already won.
And they just went with the ecosystem.
Yeah. So they're already winning. So
Yeah. I mean, I would say Google and their Pixel lineup and their software is making the biggest push for innovation in the smartphone space right now. I'm in the middle of my review. I wanted to take a little more time with it. And there's times where I've been using the phone and I haven't missed my iPhone, and the design of the phone, when you look at it from the front and you feel it, it feels like an iPhone, but it has different design elements. Like there's no dynamic island and their camera bar is different. So it does, it's weird. It feel like kudos to them for designing a phone that has iPhone characteristics, but still feels like a Pixel phone, right?
Yeah.
Not easy. So the fact that the quality of the hardware is so good is a major step, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's not as luxurious as an iPhone. It is now.
Yep.
So, and it doesn't mean people are going to switch over, but I think that what Google has been doing has given Apple actually a kick in the butt to really try and get their AI features at a level that are unique and consumer friendly. Genmojis is that, but that's not a reason to buy an iPhone.
Yeah, and I love that call screener on.
Oh my goodness.
On Android, on the Pixel phones, the call screener is everything.
I mean, I miss my split screen. Like we used to have a Pixel way back with 2XL, and then now we've been back on Apple ever since. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean the call screen is great, and Apple's kind of doing it with kind of some of the transcription when you get calls. But it's kind of funny. Once I see the transcription on a call, I guess you know what the problem is? People don't leave voicemails anymore. I think transcription on a phone is basically it's because we don't want to answer it and it's a spam call. If my mom or my significant other is calling, I'm going to pick it up. Right. It's rare. And if they don't leave a voicemail because they won't, they just text after. So it's like transcribing calls in real time is actually awesome, but I think consumer behavior has changed where we just don't really use it that much. But it is a cool feature. Yeah. But our habits are different, right? That's why human behavior really matters when you see all these features. Like, how do we adopt them? Are we going to adopt them? Remember the what is it called? This I can't even remember it off the top of my head. Where we were able to like put pressure on the screen, and they had this thing called like
sense
push
touch?
and pop. What is it called?
I think it was. Was it 3D touch or sense touch?
It might have been 3D touch. It might have been 3D touch, yeah. But where you could like push and pop on and like scroll through email. Like it was amazing. Like it was the screen became another button, and people didn't use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And consumers didn't use it at all. Was it force touch? Jeez. But consumers didn't use it. Apple put it in there. I'm like, this is incredible. I love this. The display technology costs more money for them to make, and they after they released it, they never supported it from a standpoint of like. They never kept on saying, try this, do this. Like, hey, this is what you can do with it. And it left after like basically a year or two. And because consumers didn't adopt it. And so that's why how we interact with our phones is important.
Absolutely.
Force touch? God,
yes, I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was force touch.
Okay. Well, I'm just making up stuff now. But
no, I think you're right.
I remember one of the terms was like, push and pop when you go to an email and you like click on it and then it like half expanded it and then you could push it again to fully expand it. I'm like, that is dope. And I used that all the time. But
Damien's looking it up. Like now that you have it in our heads, we're like, we gotta know or else it'll like bother us all day.
I know it's, I'm glad I don't feel bad that I'm not the only one that, I mean, it reminds you of like how long ago it was and how just like, cause I would talk about it all the time.
Yeah, so
I've seen force touch.
Force touch and 3D touch. I think
it's force touch. I feel like it was force touch, but it's all right.
3D touch for iPhones. Yeah, so 3D touch.
Okay, so we did say 3D touch.
We said 3D. Yep. So we
was
still
force
got
touch
it.
one of the
force touch. I think it's for the MacBooks and things.
man. Anyways,
Yeah.
our consumer behavior really matters, But again,
Yes.
people are still going to buy their iPhones. Like they already know what
Absolutely.
they're getting, and I haven't, amongst my peers, I haven't had a thing where even like 20% all of a sudden I'm switching over to a different platform. There's just not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Now, all phones are expected to get the customizable action button, and there will be more functions coming to the action button with iOS 18. You'll be able to assign controls from the new Control Center gallery, invoke dark mode, airplane mode, personal hotspot, and more.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people don't use this, but I actually really like it. Like, I've been using it a lot. Like, I use the Shortcuts app, and I have it, like, fully customized, a ton of if-then statements, and it does a bunch of stuff and changes based on the focus. So I've been getting a lot of use out of it.
Brian, what
Dang.
function? Yeah, she put in work on that.
I respect that.
It
Damien,
took some time, and I even did his after that.
Yeah.
He probably hasn't been
Damien,
using
come
it.
on, man. Step up your game.
I
You made your
did.
lady customize it for you. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Just kidding. I'm
But
messing
not,
with
also
you.
not.
Yeah.
I'm messing with you. Here, I'll
And
do you
she's
one
just as
even
busy as
better.
I am. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Damon was asking me, "Oh, Brian, what do you use your action button for?" So for a while, I had it on the flashlight, and then I'm like, I still need my mute switch, and I'm not going to go
Right.
into Control Center, so it's
Yes.
just the mute switch. And
I know.
my number one critique of that button, day one, and has always been and still been, we need a double press, a triple click, and a long hold. We need it to be multifunctional. Yeah,
Yeah.
press it once, that's great, but it is so limited when you just can only do one function. We know how to do a double tap, a triple tap, and a long press. Let's make it multifunctional, and I think then it becomes really useful for me. And then I'm like, I love the action button. But
Mhm.
until that happens, like I use it as a mute switch still.
Yeah. All right. So that's
And
what Brian uses it for.
and I'm gonna argue. I did use it to get to the camera, but the camera icon is on the screen too. You just tap
Yeah.
and tap. So
True,
that's two
true,
taps,
true.
right? There's a difference between tap, slide down Control Center, then change. No, we're not doing that. But
Yeah.
so I did have it for
You
for
tried
a
it.
camera. I
Yeah.
tried, and then I'm like, I still need to get access to, because you're in meetings, like
Yes.
you have things you got to do. You can't have your phone on ringer all the time. Most of us keep it on silent almost all the time now, anyway.
Me
So
and Damien always gets on me about that.
It's only
I
because
keep
of the
it on
missed
silent.
calls.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys, I mean, are we gonna get into that or no? It's like, is that...
So it's all good. It's kittens and rainbows.
Right. All kids are rainbows here.
But yeah, really, tech. So for all the nice things you said about me, my action button is the mute switch.
No shame in your game. It's all good.
No, ain't no shame.
All right,
Yeah.
but what about, so they're talking about a new capture button, and that
Yeah.
looks like it's going to be on all 16 models. So as the name implies, it will be geared towards camera use, and it looks like it's going to be a capacitive button on the right side of the device, and it's going to allow people to quickly take photos and videos. And reports have been saying that it's going to support gestures for like zooming in and out, bringing subjects into focus, so like a touch or a swipe of the button. So, I mean, that kind of gives you, what we're kind of looking for, an action button in a way.
Yeah, I personally, I love the idea of it. I think what is more telling is, our phones are our cameras, and our cameras are our phones, right? Our phone is basically a camera now. And so if this is not adding bulk, if this is a cool capacitive touch pressure button, why not add more functionality that makes the camera experience even better on this phone? Apple has really tried to champion being the best camera. And yeah, right now we're splitting hairs with cameras on phones these days because they're so good. I still think Apple's phone is the best for video, hands down, even just from transferring the file size, the fidelity, all of the above. And Google is challenging them really hard, actually, from a video standpoint this year. So we'll see how that happens. But from a functionality standpoint, when we ask, like, what can I do? You can only physically fit so much on this. If I don't even think it's necessarily a reason to upgrade, but for someone like me who, because I cover tech, I do have to upgrade every year, to be real with you. Before I did this, there were years where I skipped like a couple upgrades, and this is when the iPhone was innovating a good amount. I probably would have been happy still on a 13 Pro and not need to upgrade yet. But if I was on a 13 Pro, knowing how the camera's gotten so good and now seeing this potential camera touch capacitive trigger or button, I would probably upgrade for sure at that point. So I'm just curious to see how it works and what it does, and I'm pretty intrigued by it. I think that we just haven't, someone's leaning into this camera thing. It's Apple, and guess what? This is the type of feature, if it takes off, that other manufacturers will end up putting in their phone. That's how you know it's something that is worthwhile in adding, right? So they didn't add Dynamic Island on their phones.
True that. True.
But they didn't put a notch on their phones. They knew better. No. But this camera capacitive button could be, I don't want to use the word special, but it could be a really excellent addition for someone who feels like their phone is a little stale and lean into the fact that their phone is their camera.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what do you guys feel about it as, content creaters? Adding this, do you love it? Are you like lukewarm about it? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great thing. Like if it's done right, if it has multi, gestures on it, we can do different things quickly. If you can customize it, so that way you can just have if you can have something set up, you can get a certain kind of shot, in ProRes, or if you want it to be vertical, and you can just tap it to do that thing quickly, because sometimes you need to get shot right away. And if you have that button on the side, you don't have to go into the app and do a bunch of things. That's really going to be good.
Yeah. And I mean, we're using it a lot for getting B-roll and stuff, because it's just easier sometimes to just whip out, your iPhone and take some B-roll. And obviously the photos and videos are really, really good. So why not? So yeah, but I feel like we've just gotten to a point where buttons and ports have kind of been at a minimum, they took away the headphone jack and all that kind of stuff. So now we're adding them back, but obviously with this, more functionality, which is nice. So do you think adding the capture button on the iPhone, is that going to influence other manufacturers' approach to physical buttons on smartphones? And could we be seeing a trend of bringing more tactile controls back?
I think so. The fact that it would be a capacitive touch button means it's going to be pretty flush, right? It's not going to be a physical button that at least we think it's not going to be a physical button that sticks out. So if it has a magic wow factor, which I think also, let's be real, when people are inside of the Steve Jobs Theater, when Apple announces an event, everyone already is coming with a different energy and excitement. And I think people are going to actually be pretty stoked about it. And then the public that hasn't seen it will be like, it's just a camera button. And then
right.
Once they use it, they're like, damn, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's typically what happens at these events. I'll be real with you. I was so excited about Dynamic Island. And then when it came to actually using it on the daily, I was like, okay.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah, I was like, I get what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. But it didn't change. It has not really drastically made my phone wow, that was a massive difference, right? So, but I think this actually has a chance to be a lot more significant difference than what they've done in a while from a phone standpoint and functionality standpoint.
Yeah, and I think on the MacBook Pros, if it's gonna it could be just like you said, a flat surface. They're calling it a button, but it has the haptics in it. For different gestures, will have different haptics, so you did what you want to do right. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, so I'm hoping to see that.
We'll see what happens. I think it'll be the most unique and interesting part about the keynote, quite honestly, for an iPhone, for the iPhone, that is.
Yeah. Now, the Tetraprism telephoto lens is coming to the iPhone 16 Pro, not just the Pro Max, and I know we like the idea of the phones being identical spec wise, just different based on your size preference. Brian, what do you think about Apple's approach to the parity between the Pro and the Pro Max models? You kind of touched on this before. Is this a trend you like to continue to see happening?
Well, my comment is it's about damn time that Apple has a 5x optical on all their Pro level models. People are going to freak out about this that have never experienced this on their phone before. It's literally been available on Android phones for years.
Yeah.
Not a year, but years.
Yeah.
And it really makes a difference in shot composition, in flexibility. You're like, damn, I could get that shot to look like this, that sharp. Yeah, you can. So, I can't tell you how many people are like, I love the 5x telephoto on the 15 Pro Max. I'm like, okay, this is embarrassing. But, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for people that have never experienced it and have discovered it for the first time on an iPhone.
Right.
But I love the parody. It's important. I think it's really important.
Agreed.
Because I've never purchased a Pro Max model just because it had a little better camera, which typically that's been the difference, right? It's something about the camera has been a little better. I've never purchased a Pro Max. And then once I got the phone, meaning I bought the regular Pro, I never missed it. But using telephoto 5X is really nice. 10X, hey, if they really wanted to give it to us a little bit more, please go with 10X if you can keep that great fidelity. Like Samsung and others do. But, actually that's weird. There's kind of like a correction or a pullback from Samsung to maybe going back to 5X as well. So we'll see how it all plays out. But having that flexibility, yes, 100% love it. It happened like 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the Apple Watch Series 10. So Apple will likely be debuting a thinner design with a larger display. Still looks like there's going to be 2 models, but a 45 millimeter and an all-new 49 millimeter, so same size as the Ultra. So no more 41 millimeters. Sorry, all you out there that like the smaller size, but devices are just getting bigger now. And there's also been talk about new sensors for sleep apnea detection and blood pressure monitoring, but it looks like the tech might not be ready for the watch release. I know a lot of people, including us, have been waiting for blood pressure monitoring, so that would be a nice addition. Brian, how crucial do you think these features are, and is Apple right to hold off until the tech is perfected?
They're right to hold off until the tech is perfected the way that they want to do it, because it has been beneficial for them to hold out. Now, sometimes 3 to 4 years, that's a little too long for me for waiting for a feature that is not that. Come on, it's like you guys can.
Seems simple, right?
Yeah, right. But from a health standpoint, look, Apple is the leader in the smartwatch market, even though it's on an isolated platform. Like you would think, man, could anyone swoop in? You might say Garmin, but it's kind of used for a different way. Like when we're talking about a true smartwatch paired with a phone platform, Apple Watch is the best smartwatch, even if it doesn't have blood pressure already, right? Or at the moment, and others do. And the reality is that Apple plays because of their name and because of the size and scale that they do have to, in some ways, specifically when it comes to health, and when this watch is known as the best, like basically health, kind of health ecosystem as well, they have to make sure it fits in properly. And so if it means that it takes time for it, I haven't seen people that said, I'm not buying an Apple Watch because there's no blood pressure monitoring. But I've heard people say, I'm not upgrading my Apple Watch until there's blood pressure monitoring. So it's still not 100% sure if we'll see it. I hope we do. I think it's important. Obviously, the big moment that will really change things for the Apple Watch is if they get glucose blood monitoring. And it doesn't have to be down to the granular level, but if it can identify trends of what's happening and then suggest, hey, you need to do this, that's fine. They're not going to try and be like the sensor, like the patches that have a needle like directly pricking your skin. But if they can do it more on a surface level and be accurate enough to give proper recommendations, then that's a game changer. But there's a reason why it's taken so long. But that's really the next level if they can get there for the Apple Watch. So, but if they do, it's going to be incredible. Like it really will be, for them to pull that off, a non-invasive blood glucose. It sounds crazy, but technology is crazy and can do things like that. And so I hope that we see that in the next 3 or 4 years, that the projections are it might come out by then, but not anytime soon.
Yeah, and we watched the Made for Google event, and the Pixel Watch 3's loss of pulse detection, that feature was really amazing. And that would be a nice feature to see come to the Apple Watch as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that, I guess.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have it already in the works, because a lot of times these companies kind of know what each other is doing, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They end up finding out and knowing. So whether it makes it to this version or not, we'll see. You know, it depends on where in the development cycle they found out and whatnot, and then started doing their own testing. But that's again, Google, because they're the challenger, they're really going hard and trying to bring new features and things that just others don't have, and that's why they're fascinating to me, and that's why I enjoy them. Because if we're about like tech and innovation, like we've got to reward the companies, and let's be happy about like that cool stuff that we see from other companies, or if it comes from Apple, like it should be all companies, So.
Yeah. And then the watches are also rumored to have a new mechanism to attach the bands magnetically. Now, you don't know this. Damien loves magnets. I don't know why, but Damien, I know you're looking forward to this.
I'm definitely am. I just feel like, MagSafe, magnets, and tech in general just adds a little something extra special to the tech. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
How about this? There is this satisfying clicky nature of a magnet.
Yes, that's the thing.
Like click. I have invested in so many freaking damn Apple Watch bands. I can't support this. The connection has to be so compelling.
Yeah.
For me, like I literally have a little drawer of lots of Apple Watch bands, and I cannot. How about this? Ooh, better move, Apple. If it's compatible with both the old and this new magnetic system, then I'm down. Then I'm all in. And no one's even thrown that idea out, but I could see it. Slide it, like, this magnetic system. I don't know how they're going to do it. We don't know now, right? But I definitely see the benefit of a magnetic system. And it is sometimes a little tricky to swap out. So,
yes, it is. Yeah, I struggle
yes to
myself.
That. Yes to that.
Yes to
no
that.
to making my entire Apple Watch collection completely just freaking dinosaurs. No.
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't
investment.
do that.
I feel like Apple will do that.
I might deliberately. I'll deliberately like stay on my Apple Watch and be like, no, until you put a blood pressure monitor. I'm not doing crap because this is bunk. No.
Right.
No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then like another thing, I'm personally hoping for Ultra Watch battery life at the Series 10, but I don't know. I think I might be asking too much. But do you think, since it's the 10th anniversary of the Apple Watch, do you think Apple will do anything special, or is there any specific features or design changes you're hoping to see?
I just think that because we haven't heard too much, that something's cooking.
Something big.
I could be totally wrong. Okay, the design gets a little bigger and a little flatter. And if it does get even better battery life because of maybe a new chip they're using that's more efficient and maybe a little better battery density, cool. That's good enough for most people, but this is the 10th anniversary. So there's got to be a new design. And whenever there's a new design for the Apple Watch, that's when I've actually upgraded. So whether it's a larger screen size, I've upgraded. So I think, what am I on, a 7 right now? Am I on? Yeah, I think I have a Series 7 or Series 8, but Series 7. I'm on a Series 7 right now. It has not been compelling enough for me to upgrade. I did get an Apple Watch Ultra, and I only use that because it's less more rugged. It's to be honest, it's a little too big for me on the daily. I knock it around on things all the time. But I do take it with me when I go surfing and all that because it just feels like, this is a more rugged outdoor activity watch. Like that's
Right.
that's how deep we're in this crap that we bought a second watch because I feel it's more rugged. It's like your freaking Apple Watch is fine in the water.
The marketing works.
It does. And you know what? When this is the thing. People are such like Apple fanatics. They just want something to make Apple to make something new that they can buy. People get mad when Apple doesn't make something new enough for them to buy. Like, I see it in the comments. They actually get mad when Apple doesn't get them or give them a reason to really spend more money. It's the weirdest thing, but it happens. Apple has such a captive audience like no other. It's really
true.
Neat.
That's something.
That's true. All right. Yeah, so we're getting to time. There's a couple more things that we'll just briefly touch on. Damien?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Apple Watch Ultra 3 will likely be announced, but we haven't heard much about it, so it sounds like it might not be that big of an upgrade, we're thinking.
I don't think so either. I hope we're wrong, but based on the number of units they've moved, I think there's a lot of excitement around it initially, and then I think people realized, okay, those people that really wanted a larger screen with a rugged look got their Apple Watch Ultra now, right? They got it.
Yeah.
So What will the 3 offer to make it more compelling? We'll see. I think when you haven't upgraded for 2 or 3 years in the Apple world, you start getting like, when am I going to upgrade? It's
Yeah.
like, come on, man. So we'll see. If it's just another color, if it's finally like a dark color, that's cool. But I'm like, really, guys? That's what we brought to the table with the Ultra 3. They've got to do more. It's the 10th anniversary of the watch, yo.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Got to do more.
So
We'll
AirPods 4 looks like there's going to be 2 models targeting different price points. There's going to be a higher end model that's likely going to feature active noise cancellation and a speaker in the charging case for easy location detection. And looks like they're going to change the design to be a cross between the AirPods and the AirPods Pro, but with shorter stems, and it'll likely have the H2 chip for better sound. Brian, what are your thoughts on Apple introducing 2 AirPods 4 models at different price points? Could they capture a wider audience with those 2 models?
Yes and yes, 100%. Apple makes models at so many different levels. Most consumers, the way that we make purchasing decisions, we don't look at the best model. We look at how much money do I have to spend. Then we walk into a store, we locate that product, and then they try to upsell us on it.
Oh, yeah.
And we decide, are we willing to spend that extra money? Yeah. Are we willing to spend that extra money or not? And then we settle. But we typically come into a store with a budget in mind. Most people. Not those rich people that just buy whatever the hell they want.
Right.
They don't count.
Right.
But, that's how we think as consumers. So having different tiered prices with different features, always a good thing. And that's the Tim Cook playbook. It really is. We have, I think, like 6 active iPhone models at once. That's the playbook. So why not bring that to other product lines, AirPods included, the most successful wireless earbuds sales-wise. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's looking like Apple's Glowtime event is shaping up to be another game changer with exciting updates across the board, whether it's the new iPhone 16 lineup, the anticipated Apple Watch Series 10, or the potential surprises. Okay, we're
that phone call.
We're gonna ignore that. Let me try that again. You're supposed to mute it.
I had it muted.
Damien. So hold up, Damien. You don't like it when your wife's phone's on silent mode?
That's why I keep mine on silent, Brian.
You don't like it when her phone's on mute. Okay.
Right.
Well, now we know.
Lesson
learned. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So it's looking like Apple's Glowtime event is shaping up to be another game changer with exciting updates across the board, whether it's the new iPhone 16 lineup, the anticipated Apple Watch Series 10, or the potential surprises we haven't even heard about yet. So lots to look forward to.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it for today's episode. Brian, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your insights. It's always great to get your take on what's happening in the tech world. So thanks for coming.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And I will be on site at Apple's event. So I'll be pumping out the contents and, feel fortunate to be able to go and just get the best coverage that I can and give you all the best scoops and little nuggets that we can from it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And you can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at 411 on Tech for more tech news, reviews, and updates.
And again, a big shout out to Brian for joining us today. Be sure to check out his content as well. He's always, like you said, on top of the latest tech. Brian, can you tell the people where to find you if they don't already know?
Yeah, if you just search up my name, Brian Tong, BrianTong on YouTube, on Instagram and Twitter, you'll find me. I'm there. I think on Instagram my name is like Nostratongus. If you know about that reference,
or BTZ.
look it up. But BTZ, keep it like that. So it's good times. But thank you so much for having me, and we'll do it again down the road. And just appreciate it and just keep the love for the passion for the tech going. And it's just a fun journey. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.